The US military might be going to war with the Mexican cartel? Let me try to break this down for you because this is a pretty wild but not so surprising news story. Okay, for those of you who don't know, there were 4 Americans in Mexico who have been kidnapped by the Mexican cartel. 2 of them were found deceased, and this really sparked some emotion within the US government. To the point where Senator Graham wants to introduce a bill that'll make Mexican cartel members terrorists. Now, before I go down that road, we first need to understand what does it mean to be a terrorist and an enemy to the United States. Pretty much when you designate a group a terrorist, this opens up the doors to being able to eliminate those terrorists in any way, shape, or form. That could be anything from intelligence gathering for multiple government agencies. That could be the CIA sending a drone strike right on your doorstep. And that also opens the door/opportunity for the US military to intervene if they need to. So think of ISIS right now in Syria. US forces are currently conducting door-to-door operations, implementing airstrikes, and US forces are there taking them out. And a big part of that is because ISIS has been deemed an enemy to the United States, thus a terrorist group. Now here's where things get interesting. Graham is actually taking the approach of the drug trade and how many drugs, specifically fentanyl, have taken out or killed American citizens. And I think this is a smart and interesting approach because you have to consider a lot of the violence that you see in Mexico and the cartel members, that's not really relatable to American citizens. But when you do think about the amount of American citizens who've been affected by drugs or people they know who've died from drugs, people can get behind this and, some emotions can be set off in favor for this bill. Now, in no way, shape, or form am I saying Senator Graham is doing this on purpose, but I do think it adds in the favor of American citizens getting behind this bill and understanding that we should make the cartel terrorists because, hey, they're taking us out with drugs. Also interesting to note, Senator Graham didn't only talk about the Mexican cartel, he also threw China's name in the hat and said, hey, some of that fentanyl is coming from China through Mexico into America. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of your gears are turning, like, how are we going to fight these guys? They're just going to hide, or is this going to turn into Afghanistan 2.0? Let's cover all of this. Okay, first concern, and even Senator Graham realized this, the only way any of this is going to work, where you are going to deem Mexican cartel members terrorists, is that Mexico actually needs to help and be involved. The word safe haven was thrown around that Mexico doesn't even take the cartel serious and they use Mexico as a safe haven to push drugs through the border into the United States. And the United States has quite the history of getting involved in conflicts against invisible opponents. Whether it's the Vietnam War, the Afghanistan War, it's a big issue and near impossible to defeat. Now, I couldn't tell you what being involved means, whether that means letting the United States have military bases in Mexico, letting the United States do drone strikes whenever they want, just like Pakistan did for the Obama administration. Issue number 2, this might be an act of aggression where the cartel will say, hey, now that we're terrorists, we're going to really act like terrorists. And look, without a doubt, and even the cartel will admit this, they are known for being violent. They're trying to make money as a cartel and organization, but who knows how violent they really can get. For example, on the US-Mexican border, overall, for the most part, it's actually rather peaceful. More peaceful than it could be. Because if you want to know how bad a border dispute can get, where US soldiers are forced to watch a border against a force that will take them out, go ahead and look up Afghanistan history and the Kunar province. You have documentaries like Restrepo, where they are quite literally in what's called the deadliest place on earth, because soldiers were forced to watch the border over into Pakistan, and troops were engaged in combat every single day. And again, if we're comparing, the US military really hasn't had too many issues that could have gone way worse on the Mexican-American border. And the third and most obvious issue, are we really going to start training troops to go into Mexico and now start fighting another war on Mexican territory? Because even though the US military has the capability to take anyone out anywhere, they still need boots on the ground to make sure the job is done. I mean, even with the Osama raid, one of the options President Obama was given, hey, we can just level everything out with an airstrike. But no, he took the option of, hey, let's send troops over there because boots on the ground, we know what's going on. And I think this is a true reality that we need to look into because, again, the US military does have a history of, first, we're not going to send boots on the ground, we'll just send some airstrikes, and then, hey, it's not working, send boots on the ground. And if you don't believe me, go ahead and look up how the Vietnam War initially started and then initially ended. Now, nothing is set in stone here. We are not officially going to war with the cartel, but I think this is the closest we are going to come where the cartel will be designated terrorists. And if you've ever watched released cartel videos or seen news about the cartel, if you go ahead and read comment sections, a lot of people will say, why are we not designating them terrorists? But again, I think they fail to realize that once you do that, we are now elevating this group to a new level to where real combat can happen and real violence can happen. So, if I am being honest, I hope this was just Graham bringing attention to how many US citizens are struggling with fentanyl addiction and US citizens are being taken out from drugs. And as we all know, when it comes to the US government, you can never take anything at face value. There might always be another motive going on behind the scenes, but who knows? This was very aggressive coming from the US government that, hey, you know what? We might actually do this and we might actually designate our neighbors, the Mexican cartel, a terrorist organization. Also, this just came to me. I was about to end the video. If all of a sudden we say, hey, the Mexican cartel, terrorists, how many of them are already in the United States? And if not terrorists, how many people are associated with the Mexican cartel in the United States? That's a whole nother level of issues. I will try to keep you guys updated on what's going on because apparently from the time I'm making this video, on Monday, we will have answers as to what this bill will say. So thank you for watching this video. Leave your comments down below, like the video, please subscribe, and we'll see you later.